there too. All right, so awesome. Let's take it right away. Thank you for being patient. If you are here, please don't just be in the background. Let us know that you're with us. Let us know that you have joined us for this session. Yes, this session we're going to be talking about how you as a parent can be an effective teacher to your child. I mentioned a few seconds ago that you are the most important teacher in your child's life. I hope you know this. And knowing this is one thing, but getting your child to know that you are a teacher is another thing, because hey, you can only be a teacher to someone who believes that you have enough to teach them, isn't it? My name is Marybeth Chima. I am the founder of the Parenting Through Mentorship Academy and PTM Resources, and I'm the proud matron of the Mastermind Circle, a pep mentorship and accountability group where we work with young children to help them identify their potentials, to help them see their role in their own lives, to help them understand that they are the most important people in their lives. Yes, and so they start directing themselves, right? They start learning how to make decisions that will be productive in their lives, decisions that will help them navigate the world effectively. So we say it's very important that as parents, we understand these things. When we understand these things, we are able to teach them to our children. When we understand these things, then we are able to take our role in the life of our children. Now, your role in the life of your child is huge, right? And I think in many cases, parents do not understand how much, I mean, they don't understand the gravity of their role in the life of their child. Yes, a lot of us do not understand the place that we play in their lives. We don't understand our role, and we don't understand what we can, the kind of what we can get out of our role in the life of our children. So we kind of second guess ourselves, even as parents, right? Even in the role, even in our role as parents, we second guess ourselves, because really, if you know how important you are or how important your role is in the life of your child, then there should be no reason why we shouldn't be making huge progress or quantum leaps in our progress with our children. Nobody's saying that as a parent you won't have challenges, okay, in your parenting, or that everything is going to be easy peasy. But we're saying if we understand the role that we play in the lives of our children, then we will understand the magnitude of it and know that there is no need to fidget. They don't need to fidget. Hi, Janet, how are you doing? There's no need to fidget. There's no need to second guess yourself. You would sit down and you would take your place. Okay. And when you do this confidently, I promise you, every time you sit in a position with confidence, the people around you acknowledge, right? When you sit in a position with confidence, when you do something with confidence, I promise you, the people around you will, they would identify that you know what you are doing. It is the lack of confidence in our parenting that makes it difficult for our children to, believe in us or believe in the things that we say. And you will be wondering, how do they know this? But I promise you, your child knows who a confident parent is. Yes, your child knows who a confident parent is. Your child knows that you're second guessing yourself. They know that you are just taking chances here and there when you are. And when you're confident, they know that you are confident. Yes. So how do we get ourselves to that place where we make our children understand that we are the most important teachers in their lives? Yes, where they understand that we are the number one teachers actually in their lives, because when we get to this point and they understand this, then they will be ready, right? They will be ready to learn from us. So the question is, how do we do this? All right, how do we do this? How do you have the heart and the ears of a human being for a whole— Hi, Janet. Good to see you here. All right. So, how do you have the heart and the ears of a human being for a whole 6 months of their lives, and you're not able to program them? I mean, think about it. In the first 6 months of our children's life, as mothers especially, You are practically everything to the child. You are food, right? You represent food. You represent life. You represent everything. The child is 100% dependent on you. And yet, a lot of us waste this season in the life. I mean, we waste how we can imprint ourselves in the lives of our children in these 6 months, the first 6 months of their lives. Then let's move on. The first 5 years of their lives. How can we, I mean, how did it happen that we end up wasting the effects of our role in the life of our children in the first 5 years of their lives? Maria Montessori talked about the absorbent mind. I mean, she talked about how, during this phase of the child's life, the child is practically soaking up. The mind is like a foam, right? And it's soaking up everything in their environment. So basically, everything that their senses can feel, what you sound like, what you taste like. I mean, anything in their environment, what it sounds like, what it tastes like, what it feels like, every single thing the child is absorbing. So think about it. I mean, as a parent, think about it as a parent. Okay. Think about what your environment is like during this phase of the child's life. So what it's saying to us is, if as a parent you understand your role in the life of your child in the first 5 years, it means that you can present everything in that environment that you want the child to feel, that you want the child to see, that you want the child to experience. And the child will absorb these things, and it becomes a part of the child. It becomes who the child is. I mean, I'm sure you've heard this over and over again, how when children come, I mean, they're like an empty flash drive. They're just going to plug and begin to absorb everything in their environment. So everything in that environment we're talking about, you are the first environment that your child will encounter. As a parent, as their caregiver, as their primary caregiver, you are the first thing that your child will encounter. So everything in the child's environment is structured, is programmed by you. So you see how we waste the most crucial times in the life of our children. We waste the first 6 months where your child is absolutely dependent on you for food, for everything that they need to even survive. If we know, I mean, if you're a toddler parent here, I always talk about toddler parents when I'm talking, or if you are a new parent, or if you're someone who hasn't given birth, you should be in this kind of meeting. I mean, if you're in this meeting and you know someone who's about to get married, you know someone who just got married, you know someone who has a very young child, please tag them in this post if you're on Facebook. Send them the link of this if you are on YouTube. Let them know these things. There is so much that you can get in there in the first 1 year of your child's life. Your child has your heart, your child has your ears. You are your child's environment at this point in their life. You are everything. They are absorbing everything. So basically, you can program the 13-year-old, the 15-year-old, the 20-year-old that you want to see. You can begin to program them in that first 1 year. And then the first 5 years, this is the point where their minds are absorbing. This is when all of the window periods for a lot of skills, the child's mind is like open. You know how you have, an open check. That's what you have as a parent in the first 5 years of your child's life. You have like an open check. You have like a whiteboard that is all white and broad and big and is there, with a marker in your hand to start imprinting. You have all of this in the first 5 years of the child's life, because this is when the child is ready for learning. This is when the child is in the window opportunity to learn a lot of things coming, from organization to language to emotional regulation to social skills. All of this is when even their cognitive ability, their math skills, all of these skills, this is the period that the child is in that. The child is at the highest level. The child is ready for learning at its highest level. This is the point. So imagine that you know this, and imagine that you are disciplined enough. You know this, you are knowledgeable enough, you are disciplined enough, and you are intentional enough. And your ego is not fighting war with you, and your traumas are not confusing you, and you're able to sit down and create plans. You're able to sit down and create plans to ensure that you deal with every area of your child's life during this phase. So you see, the challenge is many times we don't know these things. That's the first one. Hi, Chisom. How are you doing, ma'am? Thank you for joining. Oh, you're watching from the UK. Thank you for joining me. All right. Thank you for joining me, Janet. If you're here, please let me know that you are here. Hi, Christabel. Okay. Let's know that you're joining us. So, yes. So imagine that you know all of these things, because the first thing is the fact that a lot of us do not have the information. We don't have the right information. We can't say we don't have information. We have information everywhere. In fact, as we speak, you want to get more, you can just hit Google and you will get more. So we do not have the right information. That's one for starters. Then number two, even when we have the right information, we do not want to employ wisdom in what we know. So we know we have heard this, we have heard that, and then instead of trying to sit down and think about principles and think of, does this make sense? Doesn't this make sense? We don't want to. We would rather, the moment you hear a truth, rather than for you to start thinking, rather than for us to start thinking, okay, let's look at this, like really, let's look at this in depth. Does it make sense? What we do is we begin to argue. We begin to argue because anything that points to our failures, we don't want to see. That's the challenge. We don't want anything that points directly at our failures. We don't want anything that points to the fact that our parents made mistakes. We don't want anything that points to the fact that we are struggling in any way. We want to assume that we are okay because we have cars to drive and we can buy. I mean, we have children, we have wife and husband, we have cars and we have. So somewhere at the back of our mind, the moment you have this and you have a good job to go to, the moment you have this, your life is okay, you turned out well. So we don't want to visit our traumas. We don't want to visit what our parents did wrong. We don't want to visit the fact that we have all the money, but our character is shitty. We don't want to visit the fact that we are old and yet we do not know how to control our emotions. We do not want to visit the fact that every little fly, ant, even a 2-year-old can trigger you to the point of restlessness, can trigger you to the point where you begin to shout like a madman or woman. We do not want to visit our reality. Because really, what is the highest stage? I mean, what is the highest stage of being someone who is in control? Is it not when people cannot trigger you to the point that you lose yourself or lose your mind or you act the way that you don't want to act? So we don't want to face all of these things. And so when we hear facts or we see, I mean, we share some of this wisdom, okay, instead of you to stop and reflect and think about them, you just want to look at them and argue about them and talk about how nobody to come and teach you how to be, how to not be, and all of that. So all of that argument actually would block us from seeing the facts or seeing things that we can possibly look at and do something about. So because of this, we miss all of this window of opportunity. We miss the window of opportunity, that we have in the first year of our children's life. We miss the window of opportunity that we have in the first 5 years of their lives to actually plan, program, and execute the plan that you want. I hope you've heard, and you know by now that your child or the adults that your child will be the child of the child that they are today. Let me take that again. The adult that your child will be tomorrow is the child of the child that your child is today. So who you have raised your child to be today is going to determine the kind of adults that your child is going to be tomorrow. So yes, the adult that your child will be tomorrow is a product of you, parents, dear parents. So when I see adults, even me, I don't even exaggerate in all of this, I tell my friends every day, I tell my husband every day, I am coming from a place of trauma. I don't know about you guys. I am coming from a place of trauma. I know that I have all of this trauma, basically. So when I'm seeing you and we are talking, I don't really see the person. Just seeing you and talking to you gives me an idea of who raised you. Gives an idea of who raised you or who your parents are like. When we meet, when you meet people, the adult you see is the product of the child that the parents raised. Period. That's what it is. The truth is, you can't separate it. Look deeply, you will see. Just look deeply, you will see. When you meet the parents, you will see, you will understand more about the child, okay, or the person that you are dealing with when you meet the parents, because there's always something from how we're raised, right? So yes, who are you raising? Who do you want to see? Who are you raising today? What kind of 20-year-old do you want your child to be? What 30-year-old do you want your child to be? What 40-year-old do you want your child to be? It is time to create. This is what you are doing right now. In the 18 years of your child's life, you are creating the adults that they will be. This is the reason why, as much as we hated the things that our parents did, we end up doing the same thing because, hey, they created us. They all create us with God. Yes. As parents, we're co-creators with God. So you are creating that child. You're creating the adult that that child is going to be. Do not forget this. The moment we understand our role in our children's life, then we know how to position ourselves, right, to give them a gift that no one else can give to them. So yes, you are the teacher that no one else can be to your child. You are the teacher that no one else can be to your child. So when I meet parents, in those days where I used to be in the classroom full time, when I meet parents and then parents come to me and they are like, oh, my child this, my child that, like the parent is quote and unquote depending on me or depending on you as a teacher to set the child right. I mean, I always look with this kind of, are you kidding me? Are you serious? Right? Are you serious? Even these days when I talk to friends, and I talk to people that I know, and there's this high dependency on the school. And I'm like, what do you even mean? What do you even think? The school is just a support system to you. You are the parent. You are the bona fide teacher. The school is just a support system that you can fall back on for an aspect of your child's education, for an aspect of your child, of what your child needs. That's what the school is. So when I see you depending on the school, or when all that your child is being, the only training that your child is getting is what they get in school, and the one or two scolding. Some of us scold our children, and somewhere at the back of our mind, we're training them. I hope you know that during the point where you're in conflict with your child, where you are scolding and raising your voice, I hope you know that no learning is happening at that time. Because when your child is stressed, the part of the brain that allows them to learn actually shuts down. So at that point where there's stress, where there's anger in the environment, or there's anger at the time, learning is actually not really happening. All right, learning is not happening. So at that point, you think you're shouting, because for some parents, this is the only time that you get to teach your child. The point where you are shouting and correcting them in your mind, you are correcting them. And that point where you're doing that, that's the only time your child even gets to, feel you trying to set them right. But it so happened that that's the time that they're not even learning anything, because at that point, the brain is shut down. That is stress, right, to the brain. So it's shut down at that time. So yes, if you now understand, I like the way my coach puts it. My coach says that every time that your child, every child that you encounter is a destiny encounter. You are called to be a savior to that child. So yes, parents, you are a savior. That's one of your roles. You are a savior. You are a messiah to your child. So how is your messiahness going to help this child? How is your messiahness going to help this child? What is it from you that your child will learn today that will save your child today and in the future? Are you thinking about that? Or your problem is only how to scold them and tell them to go and do well in school? Is that it? So how is your messiahness going to save your child? Even the scripture says that children are arrows in our hands, isn't it? It says that children are arrows in our hands. So basically, you are the one who shoots basically in the direction that they should go. What direction are you shooting the child? What direction are you sending your child to? Is it a direction that will help them today and for the rest of their lives? Is it that direction that you're shooting the child? I said Montessori already told us that, hey, the child is absorbing. The child is absorbing. What have you placed in your environment for your child to absorb? What is in that environment that your child is absorbing today, that your child will use today and for the rest of their lives? This is you teaching. This is you teaching. You are a custodian, meaning someday someone is going to ask you, what did you do with this gift that I put in your hands? What did you do with this child that I gave you? What are you going to say? I paid school fees. I made sure there was food in the house. I took them to eat once in a while. What are you going to say exactly? What are you going to say exactly? I've said this a lot of times. I've said this over and over again. Some of us are super intelligent as parents. We know so much. We are so skilled. We are so talented. Yet our children are going to be one of the few people in our lives that would never benefit from all of our talents and all of our skills. Oh, yes. You don't know that? You wake up every morning and you dress up every morning and you go to an office where you're going to use your expertise and you're going to use your talent and your knowledge to serve your customers. You're going to use your expertise and you're going to use your knowledge to enrich your employer. You're going to use your expertise and your knowledge to serve or to serve the people that are your clients and your customers. What are your children going to get? They only get the daddy or the mommy who comes in and uses the proceeds to pay for school fees, who comes in and shouts and screams when they come into the house and the children have done wrong, who come in and they pay the money for clothes. This is about all. So your children will never experience the talent and the expertise that you have. They won't. They don't get to, because they don't get to know that part of you. Because, hey, there is no connection in a way that you get to teach your children about all of these things that you carry. How are you going to teach them? No, tell me, how it's going to happen? They will just put a straw and sip it, or how? How is it going to happen? It's never going to happen if you're not taking your time creating plans. So when I meet adults, I meet parents, whether men or women, and they still roll their eyes and still talk crap about the fact you say, create a parenting plan. For the love of God, why would someone have a problem with you saying, create a plan? Do you not plan for your businesses? Do you not plan for your education? Do you not plan for your dogs? Don't you plan for everything? You even plan for the school fees. Your only problem is planning to educate the person. Your only problem is planning for the life of your child and where that life should go. You don't want to, you don't know. You are taking these things too seriously. Yet you take things simple as training a dog seriously. You learn, you read about it, you study about it. When you want to start a fishery business or you want to start a poultry, you go on Google, you go everywhere. People, you even pay trainers. You will sit down and you will get trained to raise a dog. You will get trained to raise a catfish. You will get trained to run a business. You will get trained. You will go for training. You will travel abroad. You will risk your life to learn about a job. Did someone teach you about raising children? Please. Did anyone teach us about raising children? Did they? It's an instinct thing, right? It comes from heaven. The moment you say to yourself, I'm an adult and I'm ready to birth children, the instinct just falls on you. Now, why would they whine ourselves? So the truth about it is, for any endeavor in life that you're going to do well, you will learn. You will have to learn. You will have to learn what people are I mean, people ahead of you have done. You have to learn what people who went ahead have done. You have to learn what people who were successful at this had done. You have to learn what principles work. You have to learn. I mean, and then if you are a Christian, a Muslim, or whatever, you have to go back to your faith and listen to what your faith says work. Anything short of this is pride, is ego, and is wickedness. Because how do you want to raise a whole human being that will come and imprint in the, I mean, they'll come and imprint in the society? How do you want to raise them without knowledge? How do you want to wing it? Why do you want to wing raising a human being that can be a blessing or a nuisance to the community? And you want to do it just by chance? Why? Why? So if raise children who, if we're going to be parents who can train our children, if we're going to be parents who can teach our children, if we're going to be parents who can be effective in training or teaching our children, then there are things that we have to do. And these are the things that we're going to be talking about today. So I think we should jump right into this. I'm going to be sharing with you 5 things that are very key that we want to start, you want to start doing if you want to be that person that can teach your children effectively. If you want to be that parent that can train are the ones who sit, at the receiving end. Yes, they're the ones who sit at the receiving end, and sadly so. All right. So yes, thank you. We're back on YouTube now. So we're going to jump right into the things that you have to do today if you want to raise, if you want to be that parent that is able to teach your child effectively. All right. So now, because of the times that we're raising our children, right? Because of the time that we're raising our children, because of the kind of children that we're raising today, you cannot teach your child. You can effective teacher to your child as a parent without being someone who listens. You cannot raise even your 1-year-old without being a listening parent. So you know how back in the day, you want to talk and your parents keep shouting, shut up, shut up. You want to explain, no, you're not allowed to explain yourself. You're not allowed to say anything. Your parents are right. So the way it is, when parents are angry, they automatically become right. From every ground. So because of course we were raised by parents who had zero emotional intelligence, yes, I say so, we're raised by parents who had zero emotional intelligence, zero emotional regulation, zero reflex control, zero everything. So that's why we had parents who used knives and sticks and all of those things and hit our children and bragged about it, and some of us still erroneously brag about these things. Oh, if they use amala stick, if they use this stick and all of that, zero reflex control. Because really, if it's a stick, go to the office. Go to your office, and when your subordinate does wrong, here's a stick that sets every brain. Take it and set their brain there. No, because you know that when you do that in places like that, you're not civilized. When you do that in the office and do that in places like that, you could get into trouble. When you do that in places like that, you are forced, because there is a consequence, right? There is a consequence for doing things like that in civilized places, you know. So, but of course, in your home, nobody is going to beat you. Nobody is going to arrest you. Nobody is going to do anything to you. So, of course, your children are the people where you can vomit all of your lack of control and all of your emotional indiscipline on, because you know that nobody will do anything to you. So most times you just find us as parents bullying our children, abusing our children in the name of parenting. Okay, abusing them and doing all of those things in the name of parenting. So but you are raising a different generation now. You could do these things to your children today, and this becomes the major thing that actually leads to a disconnection between you and your child. Yes. Growing up, I know I had a friend who had a bad leg. I mean, she got a bad leg. It was my friend's older sister, right? She had a bad leg. I didn't know them at the time, but at the time, exactly, you can raise them without being a good listener. At the time they moved, you know, to where we were living, she actually limps, you know. And one of those days, my friend was telling me what happened, that she limps, you know, how she had gone out and she went to play when the dad said she shouldn't, something like that. She came, her father was so angry, and he had something that was sharp in his hand, and he used it to, like, you know, threw it at her, and it landed somewhere between her feet and her, somewhere, you know, somewhere on her leg anyway. It landed somewhere there, and that was it. And that was it. That's how he deformed this child for the rest of her life in the name of parenting. Now, if you go and do that to someone in the office, he will be in jail or something, right? So because we know that our children are helpless, our children are totally helpless, and something in our brain tells us that we own them. Dear parents, you don't own your children. You are custodians. God has just blessed you and given you this child for you to train them in the way that they should go. Because God is not going to come down and come and train your child. Even Jesus had to come through a family. All right. So they've given you a child to be a custodian to that child, to train the child in the way that they should go. You do not own the child. The child is not your property. In sane societies, they make that very clear so that you can't do to the child as you wish. So that's why a lot of us moving, I mean, we're in diaspora right now. Everything we do is hush hush, because now there is someone that will do something to you if you do anyhow with the child. Why are we like this? Okay, why does it always have to be when there is a consequence or when there is a repercussion? That's when we do the right thing. So in the name of my friend, on her own, I know how many times her dad had, stripped her. Yes, I know how many times her father stripped her because she was termed stubborn. How she would, I mean, that time they would say, oh, she stole food. She did that. I mean, nobody was looking at the fact that the child probably needed to eat and the food was never enough. Because really, why is the child stealing food in her father's house? Why? Probably because the child didn't have enough, or the child is still hungry. And because, of course, there is no place. I mean, there's one big plate of food kept for daddy, and then you have eaten probably 1/4 of that. And the child is too strong-willed to understand it. So she will go and scoop some of it. And then the father will come. And they will beat. I mean, I'm not joking. I grew up seeing her. Sometimes you're passing in front of their house and you will see her strict. At that time, we were already in our preteens. Yeah, she was slightly older. We were already in our preteens, you know, and she already had she was already having breast, I mean, all of that. So you will see her that way, and the little boys around the neighborhood will come and look at her and they will laugh. They will come and they will look at her lying down. Their father would strip her, and then he will put little marks on her body, and then they will rub pepper. I'm not telling stories that I don't know. I saw this growing up. Even as the person who saw this, I was traumatized, not to talk of the kind of trauma this person is going around with. Then you will now meet this person, and then the person will just tell you, they reset my brain. Who told you that the people that they did not reset their brain like that did not still turn out the way that you are or better? So we have this way, you know how trauma has a way of helping us evolve some coping mechanism. I don't even know how to call it. Okay, I'm sure the experts have a name for it. How you get to a point and you are in denial. You refuse to agree that you were traumatized. And then you begin to think that the person who caused the trauma did you a service. It's the same reason why there are women who are being beaten, right? And in their homes, they are beaten and they stay in there. There's nothing you can tell them that will not make them know that I deserve it or something like that. So things like that. So no, you can't raise children today if you're not listening to them. So if you are that parent who hits a child and tells them to shut up, you're not ready to train. You're not ready to teach that child. You're not ready to teach that child. You're not ready to train that child. You beat the child and then you tell the child to shut up. You are the parents that you have all of these allegations you have laid about, on the child. You have all of these things that you're upset about. And you're not giving the child a minute to say to you why the child did what they did or what it is. So I would ask the children, can you explain to me what this is about and why you did this? Let them explain to you. Give them a chance. Let them know that the world is fair and that the world will listen to them. This is you beating them and shouting, shut up, shut up, shut up. And then tomorrow, the child refuses to come up on stage anywhere. The child refuses to show up. The child refuses to use their voice. And you are saying he's shy. Who told you he's shy? You have taken the voice away. So you see a lot of us, we grow up and then we are adults and we're not able to stand our own in a crowd. We're not able to stand and address people publicly. It is because we're second guessing ourselves, because growing up, we heard more negatives than we heard positive. So no matter how smart you are, you cannot stop second guessing yourself because you heard more negatives than you heard positive growing up, because you were told to shut up, okay, when you were growing up. So even while you are an adult, something in your subconscious mind keeps telling you to shut up. Something in your subconscious mind keeps telling you to shut up because you are a child that could only talk when you were compelled to talk. So when your opinion is not asked, when you are in a gathering where the spotlight is not, when you are not picked and brought forward by force, by fire, you have nothing to offer. You will never say anything. You're that person. Even as an adult, you won't say anything. You won't share anything. You won't volunteer. You won't come up, right? And you think it's because, no, I don't do. No. It's because something in you, the child in you, is still screaming. You cannot. Shut up. The adults you are is the child of the child you were. It is what it is. You can't separate them. So dear parents, you want to be that teacher. You want to be the person that your child will listen to. So when I say teacher, you know the thing, some of us, the only thing that we know is schoolwork, is academics, is book. So when I'm saying teacher, you be a teacher to your child. All that some of us are even thinking, even at this point, is okay, so that I'll be able to teach them math and science and all of that. So that I'll be able to teach them without needing a lesson teacher. That's not what I'm talking about. I don't even have time for that. That's not what I'm talking about right now. I'm talking about you being a life teacher, a life coach, a coach for today and forever in your child's life. You being that person that your child will listen to at every point of their life because your voice is relevant. Why do you think some of us get to the point? The moment we get to, in fact, I wanted to say 18. The moment we get to 18, the voices of our parents are not relevant to us anymore. For some of us, even when we were 13, for some children at 13, as a parent, your voice means nothing to your child. As they talk your own, they are doing their own because you have already lost it. You've lost it. Or you're screaming, or you're shouting, or you're shut up, or you're acting like they have nothing to say. Oh, all of a sudden, you now wake up and you think they should now come and say, no, they won't. They don't have anything to say to you. You shut that down a long time ago. You shut them up a long time ago. You are the only person that should be heard a long time ago. So when your children are with you, it is what you have to say that they will listen to. It is what you have to say that they will hear. You will never hear them come out on their own, bring out the issues in their lives, put them before you and say, Mom or Dad, what do you think? You don't have that relationship. You killed it a long time ago. So how do you want to be a teacher and a life one for your child? This is what we're looking at. So number one, you must be someone who listens. So start even when you are upset. Try and start. All right? I'm all ears. Can you let me know? Can you make me understand why you did what you did? That alone tells your child that you respect them. You respect their opinion. You're ready to listen to them. So when there are issues, when my children are having issues, the first thing I ask them is, what's going on? That's the first question. What's going on? Is there a problem? That's the question I ask. Is there a problem? Share with me. Let me know what the problem is. And usually they will say to you, oh, there's no problem. Or we resolved the problem or something. But share with me, what's the problem? Is there a problem? Let's talk about it. But some of us, right where we are, we are already threatening and sending fire and brimstone right from where we are. Like, I don't care what the issue is. I don't care what the issue is. I don't want to hear what it is. Just shut up. Then tomorrow, oh, he doesn't talk to me. Coach, I don't understand. He never says anything to me. What's there to say to you? No, what really is there to say to you? All right, number two, you want to preserve their curiosity. You want to preserve your child's curiosity. When your children, think about it. When children are 2 months old, 3 months old, 8 months old, you see your crawling child. At the point where your child is crawling, do you know how many times they try to stand up and they fell? Did it stop them from standing? Your child will crawl, he will rise, he will fall, he will continue. He will rise, he will fall, he will continue. Did that ever occur to you? Sorry, just give me a second. I think my charger is not even charging. 1 second, please. Sorry, one of my devices is about to go off and I realized it wasn't plugged. Sorry about that. All right. So at the point where the children are learning to crawl, your child has got this tenacity naturally during the window period. I said the time between 0 and 5, right? 0 to 6 in most cases is a window period for your children to learn so many skills. This is the time when nature pulls them naturally to learning these things. Now, as a parent, your job is to identify when your child is ready for each of these skills. If you are paying attention, you will know when they are ready for each of these skills. So there's a window period for language, when your child is ready for language. Your job at that point is to create stimulation, to create activities in your environment that stimulates the child for language. And this is why your child can learn any language during this period. It is said that before age 10, your child can actually learn 8 languages at the same time. Now, this is not just language as in German and English and French and all of that. This is also how to communicate, the kind of language that your child uses to talk to the next person. How emotionally, how emotionally responsive your child is, how respectful your child is in his tone, the tone of your child's voice, all of this. So between 0 and 6, if you are there screaming and yelling like a mad person, okay, like most of us, some of us are coming from a lot, including myself. I'm coming from a lot, as we say in the inner circle, where it was a lot of shouting and screaming, and no wonder the children picked it. No wonder the children picked it. And so your children are talking to each other and they're telling each other off at every second, yelling and shouting and screaming at each other. But thank God for knowledge, and thank God that we are not in the gang of who said they say, why should we read, why should we not read? So we are in the gang where we understand that we have made a mess. And so we are trying every day to correct that mess, because there is a place of learning, unlearning, and relearning. Now we know this, and so we are learning. We are attending training on emotional intelligence. Yes, we are, because we know that there is the place for learning, and it is the knowledge that I have and the wisdom that I add to that knowledge that will help me become the right teacher to my child, so that my child doesn't have to heal themselves from this same kind of trauma that I'm healing myself from today, so that my child will not have to reparent themselves, because you just never know. Your child might end up with the gang of who said they said, why should we not? At the end of the day, it will sabotage them everywhere. They go to their job places. Are your bosses deaf and dumb? Do they not have eyes? Do they not see you when you're trying to deal with issues in the office? Do they not see you when you're having an altercation with your subordinates? Do they not see you when you're trashing issues with your colleagues? Do they not see that you do not have emotional regulation? Do they not see? Are they blind? Who you are will show. It will show. So eventually, all of these things will sabotage your children the way it sabotaged you, just because you don't know better. I remember there was a time in my life where, I would join, I would join people to help people who had zero emotional regulation. Someone does this, you would do this to the person, you would do that to the person, you'll be scattered everywhere, and everybody will be hailing you, that man, he doesn't take nonsense. Don't nonsense, you don't have nothing, you don't have no regulation. You're throwing tantrums everywhere. In your 40s, throwing tantrums all over the place. We are women throwing tantrums everywhere. You drive your car, you don't have a driver's license, someone stops you. Instead of you to have a decent conversation, you begin to scatter your head and shout and scream everywhere. No regulation, anyhow. So when you don't know these things, you will hail, and you will hail yourself for being like that, and you will help people that you know that are like that. But the truth about it, your children are watching, your children are seeing you. So hey, they're going to learn firsthand. So no wonder the home is never peaceful, because all of our traumas are clashing. All of our traumas, your trauma is clashing, your spouse's trauma is clashing. The children will come and join. So there's constant chaos, because adults who have not healed from their trauma will continue to trigger each other, okay? And so you are not able to you're not able to build a home that is stable enough for your children to grow in an environment where they can learn. So how do you want to teach in that environment? So yes, you must preserve their curiosity, as I said, at this time, so they fall, they rise up, they fall, they rise up. So keep it that way. Let the child be a child that is allowed to explore. Allow your children explore all this. Oh, carry him, he will fall. Don't let him touch his hand. Yeah, that hand will go to his mouth. Just be around to wipe the hands. Allow the children explore. Create more opportunities for them to explore. Okay, I wrote this book in December, Playtime Stories for Champions. So Playtime Stories for Champions has got 30 activities that you can tell stories with your children, and from the stories, your children will create activities for themselves. Now, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about This is why I created this book, so that parents can get into that space where they can use the resources that we have created for them to teach their children. So you get to tell your children stories, share perspective with your children, and then the stories lead you to create activities. Okay, with these activities, you get to preserve their curiosity. So your children are always excited, always wanting to create something, always wanting to build something, always wanting to do something. Dear parents, television, TV, iPad, telephone, these are not activities that your children should be doing. These are not activities that your children should waste their time on. But then again, you can't say no TV if you do not have what you can use to replace TV in their lives. So get your children to the point where your children love to create. They love to explore their environment. They love to use their hands. They want to be tactile. They want to explore things. They want to create things. It is on the playground that innovators, right, are created. It is on the playground that creatives are created. It is on the playground. So if we know these things, then we're able to do better. If we know these things, then we're able to program our children the right way. Very, very key. Very key. The third thing you want to do as a parent who wants to teach your child effectively is you want to communicate your expectations to your children succinctly, clearly. What do you expect from these children? But of course, you cannot expect anything that you have not taught to the child. So if you understand that your expectations have to be clear, then as a parent, you will understand why you have to teach everything. You will hear some people say, why do I have to teach you? Me, did they teach you? Me, did they teach me? Who told you they didn't teach you? The environment taught you. Do you know how it was when we were growing up? How we could go out and come in? Are your children going out and coming in the way you came in and went out? We had peer mentorship when we were growing up. We learned from our older siblings. How much are your children learning from their older siblings today? Is it the older siblings that are always on their tablets or the ones that are always playing games? How is your 6-year-old learning from his 15-year-old brother? Please tell me the last time you saw the two of them actively playing and talking and doing things together. I'm not saying watching TV together. When was the last time you saw them? So we were out there playing. We learned. The younger ones, we played at 6. You played with the 10-year-olds, the 14-year-olds, the 15-year-olds. I mean, I can close my eyes and see some scenarios back in the day where we got out on Saturdays, Saturday evening, everybody was out there. Some people were doing the skipping rope. Some of the boys were jumping. You had the sticks that they will create on their own. We got creative when we were growing up. You will have them. They will look for sticks. They will actually go in, get sticks, put one stick here, put another one here, with a stopper, and then they put, the rod between, and we use that for high jumps. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, if you were born somewhere in the 80s or the late 70s. As I was. We didn't have, our parents didn't need to order them from Amazon. No, you didn't wait for anybody to order nothing from Amazon. We got sticks and chopped the sticks to the shape. We used them, dug the ground. I saw my brothers do that. They dug the ground and then they put it and then put it here. And then they had the different marks where they kept on lifting and lifting and lifting. And that's how a lot of them learned to jump. Isn't it? High jump. We played our sway. So the boys were playing, the seniors were playing, the juniors were playing. Everybody was playing together. Do you have that today? Do we? We don't. So yes, someone taught you somehow. Someone modeled to you somehow. Someone played with you somehow. Your child is getting none of this. None of this. When they come around, oh, mommy, can we? I'm tired. Daddy, can you? I'm tired. Everyone, I'm tired. Every time I'm tired, that's all your children hear from you. I'm tired, I'm busy, I'm tired, I'm busy, I'm tired, I'm busy. But they watch you, never tired for your friends, never too busy for your friends. Don't worry. And this is it. How life flips. The time will come, they will be tired. You will need attention. The time will come in your life that, let me know if we'll go far. in your life where you are the lonely one, where those friends have moved on, where some of them have passed on. The time will come where all you want is someone who will just come and sit and have a conversation with you. And your children will be tired. Your children will be busy because it's reflective. Whatever you're doing today is modeling to them what they should do when they are your age. I was talking to my friend the other day, and I was like, I mean, come to think of it, those days we were going to the university, and we left our mothers at home. They were actually in their late 30s and 40s. And see how we looked at them like really old women at the time. So it's not too far. Your child is going to be 20 and 25 soon. And then you want to have a conversation. You want to share with them something, a thought and all of that. And you're calling your child 10 times, Mommy, I'm busy. Mommy, I'm busy. Mommy, I'm tired. Mommy, I'm busy. Daddy, I'm... But then again, if you are the person that in spite of your tiredness and in spite of your busyness, you can still say, you know something, okay, I got 2 minutes. Yesterday, I was tired. Tired, like really, really tired. And my daughter had not one book, but 2 books. And she takes them and she comes and, Mommy, can you read to me? I told her straight up, I said, I just go and sleep. Not today, I'm tired. And she was walking away. Something in my brain said, who told you you're tired? Who told you are ever too tired for your child? And I said to her, why don't you read the first one? When you're done, just call me to come and read the second one. 5 minutes later, she went, I'm done. Can you come? And so I dragged myself and my tiredness and went and read to my 8-year-old. Some of you, you won't even do this for your 3-year-old. You are tired. You are busy. All right? So the next one is, if you want to be able to teach, to be that parent who positions yourself to be the teacher in your child's life and be the one that they will always listen to. You will always have their ears and you will always have their hearts. The next thing you want to do is you want to allow your child lead you to how they want to learn. So meaning you are paying attention to the kind of learner that your child is. How does your child learn? How does your child want to learn? Some of you, fathers, mothers, you have never taught your child a single thing. You have never, to even solve a math problem. This is you, math guru daddy. This is you, science guru daddy. This is you that knows and carries all of this knowledge. But the children turn and they're like, Daddy, could you help me? I'm tired. Mommy, I was thinking, one of my friends came around to pick copies of her books. A classmate from secondary school. This girl used to be like, as in she was fire. Right? She came out with like all A's when we graduated and all A's, like A+ and all of that when we graduated. So she came to speak her books and all of that. We're talking about the kids. And I'm like, I hope you make time to sit with your children. And, she's a banker now. I said, I hope you make time to sit with your children to learn. And I was like, baby, it's very hard. I said, let me know here. Let me know here. As in, what is it that teacher is teaching your child today? I'm talking of someone who, as in physics and chemistry, math, everything was like fire. Yet your children will grow and they will never experience that in you. And you have people who probably do not scratch the surface when this knowledge, as far as this knowledge goes, they don't scratch the surface. You keep the children, you depend on them. Totally, I'm not saying teachers are anything. I'm just saying, just think about you adding to the knowledge that these people bring to the table. Think about you spending that 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes during the weekend. Think about you. I mean, would someone die if you specifically take a time and call this my children's time? What is wrong with us? Like, just pick a time and say to your son, this time is reserved for my children. If there are 3 of them, Tunde has got 30 minutes of my time. I know has got 30 minutes of my time. This one has got 30 minutes of my time. On the same day or 2 different days, what will happen? And then let the children know. Let them anticipate this time. Let them wait for this time. Some of us, this problem our children have is they don't even know what to expect. They don't. Today you do it, the next time you do it is in 4 years' time, and the next time you do it is in 1 month's time. And what is wrong? Children thrive on, what do you call it, routines. We all thrive on routines. We thrive better when we know when to expect. Imagine in your office, there's no routine. You go to the office on Monday, your boss just says at 8 o'clock there's a meeting. You go on Tuesday, says the meeting is at 2 o'clock. You go on Wednesday, says you will not be able to plan. So how about the office where you go and you know that you have meetings at 8 o'clock every Monday? Isn't that better? Don't you plan better? So it's the same thing with our children. When they can predict us, when your home is predictable, when you as a parent are predictable, you will raise children who are more stable, more confident, and children who believe you more and trust you more. Very key. Let your children, what kind of things do your children love? Let that be what you pump into them more. What kind of skills can your children gravitate towards based on who they are, what they are, their temperaments, the things that interest them? Then position yourself and teach your children about this. I wrote these 2 amazing books recently on Young and Money Smart and then Unlocking Excellence. This is for 10-year plus. Think about you as a father, taking Young and Money Smart and reading this book with your child, your 10, 12, 14, 15, 16-year-olds. As you're reading this book with your child, the child reads to you, you listen, and then you're able to use this book as an anchor to share perspective on money knowledge and all of that, financial intelligence and awareness with your child. This is why we write these books. This one is Unlocking Excellence, how you can excel beyond the classroom, how you can excel in all areas of your lives. So think about you taking this book and sharing this book with your child. As you are gisting, this broadens the scope of your conversation, because some of us, the only thing we do is give our children a few advice here and there. When they say knowledge and teach your children, every time they say teach your children, in your head, you're shaking your head. At least I talk to them. What are you talking to them about? Every time, you have to do good, you have to read your book. If you want to be, these are the mundane, outdated conversations that we have with our children every time. You have to preserve yourself. If you do not, you will lose it. You get pregnant, or you will give a child. If you get them, you will leave school. These are the same conversations over and over. No depth, nothing. But then again, you won't have depth. You won't know how far to go. You won't know if you have not created a curriculum or a plan intentionally, or you do not have books like this that can bring up areas and subjects that you can anchor on to share perspective with your children. My very first book, Bedtime Stories for Champions, is full of amazing stories of young people who are changing the world, young people who have done amazing things that have changed the world. Imagine that you have this and you are sharing this, and the conversations for you. I mean, this is Victoria Makungu. She's from Kenya. Right? She's from Kenya, and how she used rabbit farming to fund a lot of projects that could help women, build a school in a community, help women to send their children to school, and then eventually she became a MasterCard scholarship owner and all of that. Now, imagine that you are using this kind of book to have conversations with your children. Tell me how wide the scope and the perspective that you can share with your children can be with this kind of resources. We come here, we talk about these resources every time. They're all over the place. We just look at them, we flip past. We look at them, we flip past. Then we go and sit down and we're telling our children, you have to study your book if you want to be somebody in future. Rome was not built in one day, Perspective, depth, perspective, very, very key. So we have all of our books. You can actually purchase any of these books that you want, or all of our books. Amazing books. We have Mentor Parents. Is a book for parents. I've shared my story of how as a young parent I had to make certain decisions that, give to Caesar what is Caesar, and give to God what is God. Give to my job what is my job, and give to family what is family. And how we used play and all of that, to get our children to the point where we are walking their journey effectively by God's grace and by us putting in the work. It's not just God's grace. If you like, pray from today to tomorrow, don't put in the work, nothing will happen. All right. Our son ran a YouTube channel effectively and consistently for 3 years, and then decided to take a break and all of that. He's run a business where he sells juice for 5 years since he was 9. He's 14 right now. He's still running that business. It's not about the money, but the lessons that he's going, the knowledge that he's building while he's on this, right? He is a public speaker. He's won awards. He's been at Thinkation. Last year, he was one of the core panel at Thinkation. It's an international platform. What I'm saying is there is so much we can do, and we can guide our children to do if we have a plan and if we are intentional about our journey, basically. So I've written a lot about that in Mentor Parents and how you can position yourself that way. Okay, this is Christmas Stories for Champions, where we shared stories about what Christmas used to be for us as adults, as children back in the 80s, and how it's different. So our children can look back at our heritage and see where they are coming from. Okay, this one, the skill up. We want children to be able to reflect. What did I achieve today? What did I do today? Let your children journal. Teach them to start thinking. Right? It's Thomas Edison that says only 5% of human beings actually think. Right? 85% would rather die than think. And I think 25% think that they think. They actually do not. And the rest would rather die than actually think. All right? So get your children to start reflecting, to start thinking and journaling. Amazing. My son wrote a book when he was 10, and that book was a collection of what he had in his journal. Amazing stuff. Playtime stories, I already talked about all those activities you can do. Christmas, bedtime story, my very first book has sold over 3,000 copies. It's that book where children are doing an amazing thing all around the world. All right, so Money Smarts, raising young and money smart children, and then unlocking excellence. All those books are available on Amazon. They are available on our seller page, and physical copies, of course, you can see that is available. So you can reach out. Okay, our number is 0813062156. Okay, so you have it scrolling on the screen. If you are on YouTube, you can use that to place orders for this book, and we have pickup points all around the country, so you can pick up in your location, or you can even buy from one of our distributors. Just let us know you're interested, and we'll tell you how you can get these books. And yes, you can order them straight on Amazon, paperback and Kindle copies if you want, and you have all of this. We have these resources and we want them. We did not create them for ourselves. We created them so that you can maximize your parenting. All right. So please use them. Use them. We're not begging you. We're telling you, you need these resources. Use these resources to teach your children. Don't hear about these things. Finish this class and then walk away. Buy the resources and use them for your children. All right. We have 1,500 copies of these books in December. As we speak, I don't think we have up to 500 copies of the books yet. So parents are buying. They're the only one that is not buying. Buy and teach your child. Okay. All right. So the other last one is make your everyday life an avenue for conversation and sharing of perspective. This is the easiest way to get yourself to continuously be relevant in your children's life, where everything that happens can be talked about and can be analyzed. You are listening to your child's perspective. Your child is listening to your perspective. You're arguing things out. You're teaching your children how to stand by what they believe in. You are teaching them to ask questions. You're teaching them to question other people's, points of view respectfully. Let everything, I mean, you are driving and something happens, let it be a reason for conversation. You had something that went wrong in the office, let it be a case study for conversation. You have something that happened in the neighborhood, let it be a case study for conversation. Let everything be something for conversation. So when you have this, you realize that your children come back from school and they bring case studies for you. Something happens in school and they're like, you don't want to know what happened, okay? Because everything is conversation worthy in your home. But you cannot be that when you are, I am hiding it, we're hiding it. This is for children. That is when your life is so, I don't know how to put it, okay? When you are not present, you are not running a family. When your family is transactional, as my coach would put it, that's it. So when you're running a transactional family, you will have where you can go, where you cannot go, what is touchable, what is not touchable. Don't go there. No, so before you know it, you are not authentic. You're not running a wholesome home. You're not raising a family. Everything is transaction. Everything is transaction. You don't want to do that to yourself or to your children. Okay, I want to leave you with this, dear parents. The first beneficiary, the first beneficiary of the kind of child that you have raised is you. So you raise a rude child, you would chop rudeness first. You raise a mindless child, you would chop mindlessness first. You raise a child who is with zero emotional regulation. By all of your shouting, screaming, you will be the first one that they will shout at and they will shut down. You raise a child that you can flip on, you can bang the door on, you can switch off your phone on, you can do all of that. Get ready, they will serve you. When your 20-year-old will look, you're talking gibberish, and your child will just press the red button on you, and you're there holding your phone, and your child has just cut you off like a tout on the streets. You will be the first beneficiary because you started it. So, who are you teaching your child to become? Who are you raising your child to become? You are that parent. You wake up in the morning, you do everything, you cook all the food, you do everything, you pack their bag, you pack everything. You're doing it, they're 8, you're doing it, they're 10, they are 15, you're doing, they are 20, you are doing, they are 25, you are doing. They come home, your only joy is to put food on the table. That's all you're doing. Don't worry. You will be 60 and they will expect you to keep doing. And then you will be helpless. They will expect you to keep doing because you didn't give them a chance to do. So, dear parents, there's time for everything. Identify this. Have a plan. Okay, so we'll be talking more about this in February. Okay, I have a free class in February where I'll be talking about how you can create routines, okay, effective routines, and how you can create your environment for your child to learn. We're going to be having that class. It's a free class in February. You want to come in there. Okay, and later in February, we will be building personalized education plans for everybody. Okay. You can actually create a personalized education plan for each of your children. And we want to hold your hands and teach you and take you through how you can create this personalized education. We want to do this with you because that is what each of us needs. That's what each of your children need, a personalized plan for them for the next 18 years. Have a fantastic week ahead. Okay, it's just Monday, so go ahead and have a fantastic week ahead. Hey, Tonia, is that you? Oh, look at my friend. Hi, Tonia. It's good to have you. If you're still here watching. Thank you, Rita, for joining me. Thank you, Samuel, Chisom, Janet. Thank you, everyone. For those who are catching the replay, thank you for joining. And then, if you want any of our books, please reach out to us. You can write in the comments. You can send you can send us a message on 0813062156. It's also on your screen if you're watching on Facebook and on YouTube. And if it's on Facebook, we're going to have that in the comment section after this video. You can check it out and order a copy or more copies or all the copies of our books, all of them amazing books. You will be glad that you did. Okay, if you want to be a part of the free class, you can just send us a message so that we will send you a notification, okay, when it is time. Thank you very much for being a part of today's session. If you're catching the replay, let us know that you did, and let us know if you got value from this session. Have a wonderful week ahead. Thank you. My name is Marybeth Chima, and I am the mentor mom, and I'm signing out. Bye. Oh.